All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Andy Garcia Rodriguez, and I'm going to be discussing and presenting you my project of Aztec culture. And what I mean by that topic is I'm going to dig into key factors of what made Aztec culture really unique and the people. So I'm going to be discussing how deities played like the deities and gods the Aztec people believed were so important to them, how they helped them, like in a way of surviving through their spiritual beliefs and give, and as well as how they interacted with neighboring tribes surrounding Tenochtitlan as well, and as well as like how they use natural resources to sustain themselves and have a good living conditions compared to like Europeans at the time. So I'm gonna be digging into the slides real quick. Okay, going into details on the introduction slide. Exploring the richness of Aztec culture. The Aztecs, also known as the Mexica, are amongst the most influential civilizations in Mesoamerican history. Their culture has impressive agricultural techniques, complex social structures, and profound spiritual beliefs. They started as a nomadic tribe but rose to prominence in the early 14th century in the Valley of Mexico. Imagine starting as wanderers and founding a grand city on an island in a lake. The Aztecs just did that. They established their own capital, Tenochtitlan, in 1325, which was a stroke of genius because it was strategically located and perfect for developing their inner farming methods. They created chinapas, or floating gardens, essentially small rectangular areas of fertile arable land used for agriculture in the shallow lake beds of the Valley of Mexico. These Chinapas helped sustain their rapidly growing population, and Tenochtitlan became the heart of the sophisticated and centralized political system. They formed alliances with neighboring city states and expanded their territory. By the early 16th century, the Aztecs had built a vast empire through conquest and trade. Religion was deeply woven into every aspect of culture in the Aztecs, influencing their daily routine and governments. They had a rich pantheon of gods, conducted elaborate ceremonies, and practiced human sacrifices to maintain and balance in the cosmos and the universe to ensure social stability. Isn't it fascinating how they balance such a complex and advanced society? Of course. Now, let's move on to the next slide and learn more about their incredible achievements. In the next slide, I will present the key elements presented here to help you get a better grasp of Aztec culture. These include religious beliefs, the centrality of gods in daily life and the significance of rituals, cultural interactions, relations with neighboring tribes and cultural exchanges, settlements and demography, the urban design of Tenochtitlan and population distribution, environment and resource management, adapting to the environment and using natural resources. The Aztecs had a rich belief system centered around various gods, as mentioned, each presenting different elements of nature and society. For instance, Huitzilopochtli was the god of war and the sun, while Tzolk'l was associated with rain and fertility. These beliefs were not just abstract ideas, they were deeply woven, as mentioned, into everyday life for the Aztecs, influencing everything from how they farmed to how they waged war and how they believed in life. Their interactions with other Mesoamerican cultures like the Maya and the Mixtec significantly shaped their society as well, or could have possibly been. The Aztecs enriched their practices and developed a vibrant cosmopolitan way of life by exchanging ideas and traditions with these neighboring cultures. The capital city, Tenochtitlan, is a prime example of ingenuity. It features an impressive system of causeways, canals, and aqueducts that showcase its advancing engineering skills. This sophisticated layout allowed the Aztecs to support a large population and promoted smooth trade and transportation throughout the region. One of the most notable innovations in their agricultural practices was using chinapas or floating gardens. This technique enabled them to grow crops year round, ensuring a steady full supply for their growth populations. Overall, these elements that I mentioned in this slide illustrate how the Aztecs built and sustained a powerful and complex civilization in central Mesoamerica. Alright, let's go on to the next slide. The religious beliefs of the Aztecs. The gods of the Aztecs, 1345 through 1521 CE, were many and varied, and as with many other ancient cultures, deities were closely associated with things and even important things to the culture and the general welfare of the community. These include gods of maize and the rain to nourish it, fire, and the heart to cook it, and all manners of gods to represent major celestial bodies, prominent geographical features, and extreme meteorological events from the morning star to evening frost. Many of the gods were ancient Mesoamerican deities worshipped by the cultures preceding by the Aztecs, but were adopted and adapted and assimilated into the Aztecs' own unique assembly of gods and goodness. Many of these deities were passed down from early Mesoamerican cultures. So, and the Aztecs adapted, interrogated them, or integrated them into their own unique set of gods and goddesses. This is important. The importance of these deities in Aztec culture can't be overstated, like as they mentioned and as they symbolize vital elements of life from agriculture to weather phenomena. This deep connection to their gods also influenced their social and political structures. So that's really important overall because back then there was no, before the Spanish Europeans arrived, like what else are they supposed to be in or believe in? Of course they wouldn't believe in the one true God when that the Spanish believed. The Aztecs of course believed in many different gods that helped them sustain life. So this is the important lesson to learn that these Aztec people believed in many different gods that helped them sustain themselves. Okay, let's see. Example of these gods and beliefs. Wishli Leboshli. The Aztec god of war and the sun was incredibly important to the people of Tenochtitlan. The god helped the Mexica, or otherwise named the Aztecs, settle in the new region of Valley of Mexico and was crucial to their military conquest as well. Often connected with gold, warriors, and leadership, the god had a temple at the top of the Templo Mayor, a significant city site. It is exciting how central he was to their way of life and belief system. The god had a temple dedicated to him, as mentioned, to ensure the sun's journey across the sky and maintain cosmic balance. The Aztecs performed human sacrifices to nourish the sun and please Huitzilopochtli. These rituals were crucial for sustaining their civilization and reflecting the deep connection between their religious and daily life. So the Aztecs, of course, it is seen and remembered how the Aztecs really used like their own people or brought like slaves of war for human sacrifice so the sun wouldn't explode. So why is this important? Because the Aztecs believed that they didn't give human blood, which Huitzilopochtli needed to please, then there wouldn't be like any more sun and the sun would explode or something. But there's many different stories of Huitzilopochtli, like what will happen if they didn't sacrifice blood. They say like the world will stop moving or will stop living and the sun will explode or there will be no more sun for crops, etc., etc. But here we go to another god. Ixtleton. Ixtleton is the Aztec god of health and medicine. Now the brother, and he is now, oh, so sorry, Ixtlilocochtli, or Ixtleton, god of health and medicine, who is the brother of Uxlepili and Maklochtli. When the Aztecs wanted to call upon Ixtlectons, they would use medical herbs or perform healing prayers and engage in various rituals. The practices carried out were focused on proving health and prevent illnesses. The Aztecs called upon the god to tap into his healing powers, hoping to secure the well beings of their city and people. This shows how much they depended on spiritual beliefs and natural remedies to stay healthy, and they relied on these gods to help them live, which is okay, which is important. But overall, my overall thoughts is how like they had one god for each thing, like for crops, one for health, one for fertility, one for this, and one for living, one for the air, one for rain. Like there's so many deities that can be marked down, but these are the best examples I can come up with of like the importance of amongst the Aztec people. Okay, in the world of the Aztecs, the gods weren't just powerful beings, they were the essence of life itself. Each god controlled key aspects of existence, everything from the intense struggles of war to the fragile balance of health in the complex order of the universe. The Aztecs showed their devotion by worshipping these deities and performing sacred rituals, which honored the gods and brought the community closer together, in my opinion. And religion and politics were deeply interconnected, with faith playing a significant role in governance. This combination helped to create a strong cultural identity as the people shared a common purpose and sense of belonging through their reverence for the gods. The sacrifices were not just expressions of faith, but crucial for ensuring good harvest and a successful life. These rituals and offerings were fundamental in maintaining harmony in the universe, balancing the cycles of life and death in a way that kept things in order. It's truly fascinating how every part of the Aztec life was tied to their spiritual beliefs, which with each prayer and ritual contributing to the intricate fabric of their culture. Okay, now if we see on the next slide here, right here, the Aztec Empire surrounded several large confederations, such as the Tlaxcalans ensured a fortified western border with the Tarascan Empire. So, from this quote from a different source, the Aztecs often fought with neighboring tribes such as Tlaxcalans and Tarascans, but they also formed strategic alliances to maintain regional control. And what was this purpose? They were active traders connecting with areas in lower Central America and the American Southwest, which allowed them to acquire luxury item, foods, and raw material, highlighting their strong economy. Another exciting aspect of Aztec society was marriage alliances, which fostered peace and blended different ethnic groups into their culture. They also participated in cultural exchange, sharing religious beliefs, practices, and technological advancements, even amidst conflict. This ability to balance conflict, cooperation, and cultural exchange contributed to their dynamic civilization. All right, next slide. Settlement and demography. Tenochtitlan. The capital of an empire ruling over and receiving tribute from more than 5 million people, Tenochtitlan is home to 200,000 farmers, artisans, artists, merchants, soldiers, priests, and aristocrats at the time. It was one of the largest cities in the world. As mentioned in this quote, we can take a brief moment and realize that so many people lived in this extensive civilization at the time. Like, it is extraordinary because of the other populated cities in Mesoamerica were often like a little bit smaller than Tenochtitlan, or it could be that Tenochtitlan itself was more successful in living condition, how they built like a vast empire surrounding Mesoamerica. So far, Tenochtitlan is the only civilization we notice with a vast population. Building a city in a lake means in a permanent battle against water. A complex systems of causeways, canals, locks, and 16-kilometer dikes allows the Mexica to flush the city with fresh water from the mountains. This compartmentalizing makes it so that the city is surrounded by brackish water, keeping the saltier water on the east side of the lake. An aqueduct from the Chapultepec hills provided the town with drinking water. As mentioned, Tenochtitlan exemplified the Aztecs' ability to build a thriving city in a challenging environment, like in the vast open waters and swampy areas. They still found innovations to create like fresh water to travel through the city, which really helped them survive, like drinking conditions and also bathing materials. And as well, of course, they were gonna need clean water. These guys are gonna need clean water to survive in the first place. Okay, so from these two photos, we can see, like, created by the website, a portrait of Tenochtitlan. We can see how the civilizations looked like now compare. Oh, sorry. We can see how in this example of these two portraits, we can see how Tenochtitlan used to look like. Even though it could be 100% accurate, but I do not know. But this could be like a firm example would have been looking like. So we can see like this big water canals here, like on the sides of the city, as well as like passageways leaving the city, to how like we can see the big like river banks as well. So of course they built chinampas as a like firm structure to build the cities, but the only thing that surprises me the most is how they managed to create such like land filter to even put these buildings in the first place on running like on water, because this was like a big lake, like the big Valley of Mexico lake is so interesting. Like, wow, like it's breathtaking. All right. Environment and resource management. The foundation of their sustainability comes down to the use of small artificial islands that they built to accommodate the growing population known as chinampas. All right. Chinampas were a fascinating and eco-friendly way of farming that the Aztecs used to boost their agricultural outputs. outputs. These floating gardens made the most of their land and water, helping them support a large population. The impressive harvests from Chiapas played a vital role in the success of the Aztec Empire, allowing them to feed their people and flourish. They even had a system for recovering recyclable waste. They also maximized recycling by burning certain materials and then disposing the remainder in Chiapas, which helped fertilize the soil. The Aztecs showcased impressive resource management with their recycling system, effectively dealing with waste while improving their farming practices. This clever approach highlights their inequality, plus, the use of chinapas or floating gardens shows how well they adapted to their environment by making the most of the land and water they had. These methods didn't just support their agriculture, they also helped ensure the sustainability of their whole society. And it's really amazing because like they were much more advanced compared to the Europeans at the time. When the Spanish arrived to Tenochtitlan, they were really surprised how they managed to have like an aqueduct system and also like clean running water, and how they managed to build a whole city on rafts on top of like a big lake. Like, isn't it surprising that this civilization Tenochtitlan was much more advanced than its time compared to the Europeans. The Europeans didn't really have like water systems compared to the Aztecs. The Aztecs were intelligent. They knew what they were doing. So, wow. And lastly, how Aztec culture may exist in the present and what changes may have occurred over time. Aztec culture is still present today. Even though it has changed over time, some communities continue to hold traditional rituals, dances, and festivals, keeping this rich heritage alive. Nahuatl, the Aztec language, is still spoken by some people in different parts of Mexico, showing that the ancient civilization's legacy endures and keeps on going. Foods like maize, beans, and chili peppers are still key ingredients in modern Mexican dishes. Traditional crafts such as pottery, weaving, and jewelry making are also still practiced, reflecting the creativity of the Aztec people. Since the colonial era, there have been many changes. As Spanish colonization mixed Aztec culture with European traditions, modern life has also introduced new technologies and ways of living. Despite these changes, there's a growing movement to revive and celebrate Aztec culture, highlighting its significance today. Okay, why Aztec culture is still important to Mexicans' history and how it may be relevant or important to my intended audience. So, Aztec culture is an important part of the Mexican history and one of the most influential civilizations in the region. The Aztecs make significant contributions to architecture, agriculture, and governance, which still affects us today. For example, their Chiapas farming system and impressive temples showcase their creativity and adaptability. By learning about Aztec culture, my audience can better understand modern Mexican society. From food to language, exploring their language, customs, and beliefs helps people see how much the Aztecs have shaped Mexico's cultural heritage and continue to influence its identity today besides the European influence. This understanding encourages a more tremendous respect for the historical roots that may have helped build present day Mexico. And I thank you guys for listening to my presentation, and I do apologize for my lack of errors or my full on errors. But I really appreciate everyone for listening, and I thank you for listening about the key factors of Aztec culture.